One of Hendrick Motorsports' own drivers just admitted his future is up in the air, and he didn't shut the door on any outcome. Not staying, not leaving, not even walking away from NASCAR entirely. That's not a rumor. That's Alex Bowman. In his own words at a press conference, here's the situation in plain terms. Alex Bowman missed 4 races earlier this season after dealing with vertigo. That absence alone raised questions about his long-term status in the number 48 car. Now, with the 2027 season on the horizon, Bowman was asked directly about his plans, and instead of a confident, "I'm staying," he gave an answer full of open doors. He said a decision is coming sooner rather than later. Nothing official yet, but the timeline is closing in fast. This isn't coming out of nowhere. Bowman's 2026 campaign started rough. The vertigo issue cost him a month of racing, and results struggled to find rhythm even after he got back behind the wheel. Only in recent weeks has his form actually started trending up. That timing matters. A driver figuring out his future while his performance is still climbing out of a hole puts every side of this decision under pressure. Bowman, Hendrick Motorsports, and the fans who watch the number torment. 48 car goes through a turbulent year. There's also a bigger layer here. Bowman didn't just talk about performance. He talked about life perspective, saying he's in a position where he doesn't have to keep racing forever if it's not the right fit. That's not typical driver speak. That's someone weighing more than lap times. For a Hendrick Motorsports team that's built its identity around stability and continuity, any uncertainty in one of its 4 seats is a story that ripples through the entire organization, not just one driver's career. Let's get into what this actually means strategically, because the wording here is doing a lot of work. Bowman didn't say he wants to leave. He didn't say he wants to stay either. What he said was that he wants the right decision for himself and for the team, and that phrase should catch everyone's attention. That's the language of a driver who's genuinely unsure, not one performing humility while quietly locked into a new deal. Here's the strategic risk for Hendrick Motorsports. The number 48 car carries series history. It's the number tied to one of the most decorated legacies in the sport. If Bowman's future is genuinely uncertain, the team now has to plan 2 futures at once. One where he's back in 2027 and one where they need a new answer for that seat. That kind of dual-track planning is expensive, distracting, and something a top organization wants to avoid heading into a new season. For Bowman personally, the calculation is different. A driver who openly says he doesn't have to do this forever is a driver who's negotiating from a place of leverage, not desperation. That's smart positioning if he wants better terms to stay. It's also completely consistent with someone seriously considering stepping away. Is this smart or is it risky? Both depending on which side you're looking at. For Bowman, being transparent now buys him control over the timeline instead of getting boxed in by outside speculation. For Hendrick Motorsports, waiting to stay unresolved for weeks creates a distraction that could bleed into the next few race weekends, especially if results dip again. The other angle nobody's talking about enough: health. Vertigo is not a small issue for a race car driver, and it's fair to ask whether this decision is as much about performance as it is about whether Bowman's body can hold up to a full-time Cup Series grind going forward. Reaction here is going to split hard. One group of fans is going to read this as Bowman quietly preparing to step away, especially after a health-impacted season, and they'll treat every diplomatic phrase as code for "I'm done." Another group is going to see this as standard contract talk caution, nothing more than a driver being careful with his wording while a deal gets finalized behind the scenes. Media coverage will likely lean into the uncertainty angle hard because Hendrick driver's future in question is exactly the kind of headline that keeps this story alive for weeks, regardless of which way it ultimately breaks. 2 roads from here. Best case, Bowman's form keeps climbing, Hendrick Motorsports and Bowman align on a new deal, and this whole moment becomes a footnote, a driver working through uncertainty before recommitting to the team that built his career. Worst case, the uncertainty drags on, results stay inconsistent, and Bowman ultimately decides the health scare and the grind of full-time competition aren't worth it anymore, opening up one of the most storied seats in the sport for a completely new era. So here's the question: is Alex Bowman quietly setting up his exit from Hendrick Motorsports, or is this just careful language while a new deal gets worked out behind closed doors? Tell me what you think in the comments. Stay or walk away. I want to hear your read on this. And if you want the next update on this story the second it breaks, make sure you subscribe to SportsWire USA.